We're opening up the mailbag to see if the Celtics should buy TD Garden. Why is Jayson Tatum so underrated? And we break down the minutes that will be available this season right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis, recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I'm talking about them every Monday through Friday. We're back to that daily grind, so make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Watch the show on YouTube. This show is free. It's available everywhere, and you can leave your comments in that comment section on YouTube. Share your thoughts with me. I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a couple of books about the team. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers, you can get $300 in bonus bets right now on FanDuel.com if your first $5 bet wins. So make it a good one, because if that first $5 bet wins, $300 coming your way. Today's show is a mailbag show. You can get those mailbag questions in at johnkaralis.com/mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Submit your questions. I'm answering them all season long. I do my best to get as many of these questions in. So let's just go get started with Zach, who says, we've been talking about a lot of the Celtics building a new arena. Zach says, would it be more feasible for the Celtics to just buy TD Garden instead of build a new arena? I'm going to say no. The answer is no. It's not more feasible. It's not very likely that they're able to do that. The problem is multi-faceted here. Number one, it's not for sale, and it's the biggest one. You'd have to make a monster offer to the Jacobs family, Delaware North, which owns it. They make a great business. I don't think the Bruins are going to want, because the Jacobs family owns Delaware North and the Boston Bruins. I don't think they're going to want to rent their bill. Like, why would you sell your house that you live in just to turn around and rent it? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't think they're going to do that. But let's just say that they were. Maybe let's pretend the Jacobs family is pulling a Grousbeck family, and they said, but we're selling the team, we're selling the arena, we're getting out of the business altogether. We're just cashing in all our chips. You sell the team separately and the arena separately, then maybe the Celtics can come in and buy it. But it brings me to problem number two. It's still going to be massively expensive, and it's going to need updating. The building is 30 years old, and we're getting to a point where they're going to need something new anyway. And these buildings, like, there's nothing wrong with TD Garden. I'm in there all the time. The concourse looks great compared to other NBA arenas. I haven't been to the Intuit Dome, but I've been to the Chase Center. Chase Center is its own, like, massive, monster, awesome thing. Fiserv Forum is relatively new in Milwaukee, but it doesn't blow the TD Garden out of the water, even though it's a newer building. So TD is, in pretty good shape. It's been updated. I think, like, the capacity is good. The seating is good. Everything in there is good. But if you are building a new arena, you get to do it to your specs. You get to make it basketball first, and then retrofit it for, hockey. How do we modernize it? How do we make it so you can maximize the seating capacity? You get to kind of, like, make it your own, building your own house from scratch. Again, building your house from scratch versus buying somebody else's house, a house that's old enough to need repairs and, some remodeling and some freshening up. I just don't see that whole thing happening. So in a way, though, considering how impossible it is to build something around there, it may still ultimately be more feasible to buy TD Garden, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I just don't see it going up for sale. I don't see why the family would do that. Even if they sold the Bruins, you'd sell the Bruins and the building, right? So unless, unless this ownership group, Bill Chisholm, wants to pony up some dough and buy the Bruins and buy the building, that would be. I don't see that happening. It's not like he's Steve Ballmer. He's not, the ultra rich. It took a long time to raise half the money to buy the Celtics. I don't think he's going to be able to raise the money to buy the Bruins and the building and all that. So, but hey, who knows? If he had hit the Powerball, he would have gotten halfway there. So, but no, I just don't see that being available. So moving on. Bo asks, I've heard people say Jayson Tatum is not very good in the playoffs. Why does he get so overlooked compared to other superstars? I don't understand where this not very good in the playoffs thing comes from. He's been good in the playoffs. I don't think. I think part of the reason why Tatum is underrated or overlooked, he's, how do I put this? He's a great player. He's a first team All-NBA player. I still think he's docked because he's not in the MVP conversation, right? So it's always Jokic. It's always, Luka finds his way in. Giannis, those guys, the top 1, 2, 3, SGA obviously earned the MVP. Tatum has never really been a legitimate MVP type of player. He's always been 4th or 5th. And I think that's always been appropriate. And that makes him still one of the 5 best players in the NBA, but he's not in the argument for best player in the NBA. And I think it's interesting because we're going to have the Locked On top 100, our own top 100 list coming out on Monday. And you'll see Tatum. I've seen the rankings, and you'll see Tatum is, and this doesn't take the injury into account. He's not seen as a, just in terms of who the best players, regardless of position. I think it's just widely accepted. He's in the bottom part of your top 10 overall and not in the top 2 or 3. So when he doesn't have a great playoff game, it's held against him. And I think it's held against him in a bigger way. Another reason why I think he gets overlooked is he's been very willing, especially in the playoffs, and especially in the past few years, to accept those double teams, to give the ball up, to really make that extra pass. He hasn't had to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He hasn't had to be Nikola Jokic, where when you talk about heliocentric, Jokic, when Jokic is off the floor, everything craters. And the same thing kind of happens with the Celtics in a way, but also they've had Brown and Porzingis and Horford and Holiday and all those guys. So I don't think he plays a style that pushes him to that elite, like super ultra elite top 1, 2, 3. He doesn't play that style. And I think it's fair. I think it's a fair ranking to put him below those guys. I do think that's fair. He's not a force of nature. He's just an incredibly, gifted basketball player, but he hasn't been like I said, Jokic does things that makes you go every game. You're like, how in the world did he do that? I rarely look at Tatum and say, oh my God, how in the world did he do that? I just look at him being like efficient, professional, does everything at a very, very high level. And you look up, you're like, man, that dude just put up 30 and 12. And those are, incredible numbers. He's an incredible basketball player, but his game lacks that extra sauce that gets people excited. And so when you already have that opinion of him, you're like, he's not this. You're like expecting Jokic to do special things. You're expecting Luka to do special things. And even if Tatum is better than some of the people that get mentioned ahead of him, those guys they do memorable things, once or twice or three times a game where you're like, oh my Lord, how did he just pull that off? And Tatum just consistently kind of what's the word I'm looking for there? Just not in a flashy way, just puts up those numbers. And so all of those things add up to when he has a pedestrian game, people go, see? And so it's a narrative. Don't worry about it, right? Because Tatum is obviously an elite basketball player. The Celtics don't win championships. They're not contenders without Jayson Tatum. He's already a Hall of Famer in his mid-20s. He's already doing things that, only Larry Bird and maybe a couple other people have done in the Celtics history. He puts his name in that mix of the best in team history, and it's all for a reason. He's an incredible basketball player, but it's okay to be an incredible basketball player and not like Nikola Jokic. But when it comes to narratives and why people overlook him, that's why. We're going to come back to see if Payton Pritchard could average 20 points a game. That is coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, football season is here. I'm sure Patriots fans are like, yeah, we don't care. It was not a great start to the season for the Patriots, but hey, if you want to make things a little bit more exciting, if you're a new customer, you want to head over to FanDuel.com, place a $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So make it a good one. Maybe don't make your lock a Patriots game, but there are locks out there if you get that $5 bet and win your $300 in bonus bets. So use those bonus bets however you want. Same game parlays, live action betting. You can just, however you want to do it. You can watch a game, get into it in the second quarter, at halftime, whatever. Lots of different ways to bet on FanDuel. Make sure when you sign up and you sign in, you take advantage of the tool that they have that lets you set your limit, set your budget. Gamble responsibly. Whatever your disposable income, whatever you can actually afford to lose, that's your budget, that's your limit. Do that. If for some reason you hit a cold streak, FanDuel's got you covered. No one wants to get out of control. So you go, FanDuel, make that first $5 bet a good one so you can get your $300 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA has two podcasts on that feed, Locked On NBA and Locked On NBA Game Night. I'm on Game Night on Fridays. When the season starts, we will be covering all the games of that night. So check it out. 7 days a week, Locked On NBA Game Night. The afternoon Locked On NBA show has all the big stories. Whoops, wrong button. I've been having technical issues all day. So, and that's why this is a little bit of a later drop on a Sunday night, but sorry about that. So anyway, Locked On NBA, go check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get back to the mailbag. Again, mailbag questions come in at johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Brian asks, will Payton Pritchard average more than 20 points this season, or will he start or come off the bench? That's the question. I've talked about whether he'll start or come off the bench a number of different times and in different places. My feeling, look, he could start and he'd be justified in starting. He's earned it, no doubt about it. He can easily go into the starting lineup. You have him, Derek White as your shooting guard, Jaylen Brown as your three. And then I don't know how you want to play your front court? Do you want to put Hauser in as your 4? Or do you want to do like Boucher and Keita as your 4-5? However that front court lines up, you could easily get away with Pritchard, White, Jaylen. I think it should be White, Simons, Jaylen. Because, as I've said this on the podcast before, but I think to set up your lineups to get the proper distribution of minutes, you start Derek White as your point guard. Simons is your shooting guard. He's a really good scorer. That takes pressure off of Jaylen Brown. So Simons is a start. And look, so is Pritchard, right? And I'll get to him averaging 20 points. But Simons is a little bit of a more dynamic scorer, and Pritchard is a better point guard. And I think you start Derek White, you sub him out at like the 7-minute mark, basically the first TV timeout. You sub in Payton Pritchard for Derek White, and then at the next TV timeout, you sub in Derek White for Jaylen Brown. Brown plays the first 10 minutes of a quarter, and then you stagger them, so Jaylen comes in later, 7-8 minute mark of the second quarter, finishes it out. Derek can finish out the second quarter, but you want to have one of Derek White and Jaylen Brown on the floor at all times. And I think having Payton Pritchard come off the bench is how you do that. And so it's not a knock on Payton at all. I think just makes sense for minutes wise he'll still get plenty of minutes. And I'll get to the minutes distribution in a moment, but I think that's just why I think I would bring Pritchard off the bench. So there's that. Can he average 20 points a game? Well, the per 36 minutes, just at his current numbers, at per 36, he averages 18.1. He averaged 18.1 points per game last year. So can he get 2 more points if he's playing somewhere near 36 minutes? Sure. How do we get him to 20 points per game? So he, in actuality, averaged 14.3. He played 28.4 minutes per game. So he's going to play more minutes for sure. Not a ton, but maybe 6 more minutes. So that'll get him a couple more shots. So he can hit a couple more shots. He'll probably, one of them will be a 3. So right away, if he hits 1 more 3 per game, takes 1 or 2 more and makes 1 more, that gets him to 17 points. Mix in a couple extra free throws because he hasn't been taking a lot of free throws because he's been more of a catch and shoot or more just playing off of other guys. I think he'll have to create a little bit more, so maybe he gets to the line a little bit. You can find 6 points, an extra 3-pointer, another basket, just a 2-pointer somewhere, and a free throw that gets you to 20 points. So with the added minutes, with the added opportunity, I think Pritchard can get himself. It's possible to get to 20 points. Am I predicting that he'll score 20 points? I don't know if I want to predict that yet, but I do think that I can see it. I can see it happening. This brings me to Lenny, who says, can you break down the math of how many minutes are returning next year for the Celtics? I think that will help with perspective for the upcoming season. Okay, so returning minutes, Jaylen, Derek White, Payton Pritchard, Sam Hauser. I'm going to say that those minutes are going to go up. 240 minutes are available in an NBA game, right? 5 positions at 48 minutes apiece. So when you add up everybody's minutes played, it'll add up to 240, if there's no overtime. So Jaylen will, he played 34 last year. He'll play 35, right? Maybe 36, but let's just say 35. We're not going to overdo it. Derek White played almost 34 minutes. He'll play 35. We can again, 36 is fine. So however you want to do it. I don't want to do 38. I don't want to say 40. Just 35, 36 minutes there. Okay, want to pump it up to 36? Fine. Payton Pritchard, 28 and a half minutes let's say 32, 33. Sam Hauser played almost 22 minutes. Let's say 28 for him. So if we say 36 apiece, 33 for Pritchard, 28 for Hauser, that's 133 minutes. So you still have to find 107 minutes beyond that. Now that's easy to do because you just got to figure out how it's going to be spread out. Anthony Simons will get 32. So let's just say that's so what I say, 133 minutes. There's 240. So this gets you down to the minutes go by quick. You got to figure out Queta, Boucher, Garza, Tillman, Shireman, Josh Minot, Jordan Walsh. I don't think Hugo Gonzalez is going to play much. But once you throw Simons in there, I got to write this down. I had it written down, and I'm changing it in my on the fly here. So 133, that gets us to 107. If you take 32 out, that's what? I'm not going to do this math in my head, right? 107 minus the 32. You're doing your hair. We're down to 80 something. That's whatever. 20 minutes apiece for Queta, Boucher, Garza in your three bigs. Sometimes you play them together. There's only about 20 minutes left. That could be Shireman, and that would be it. And maybe some days Queta isn't playing, and does Tillman get in there? Some days Jordan Walsh gets in there, but that's your minutes distribution, just on the fly here. So White, Brown, Pritchard are all going to play 30-plus minutes a game. I think that's an easy way to leave it there. And then we'll have to figure it out from there. Okay, so I hope that helped. Every time I do these minutes breakdowns, you start eating up those minutes really fast, and you're like, oh, there's so many minutes to be handed out. And then you're like, oh, let's throw Simons in there. We'll throw Queta in there. You're like, oh my God, there's only like 3 more guys that you can play. And that's not that much. So yeah, they get eaten up a lot. Okay, let's come back and we'll do Robert Williams. Robert Williams. Can we get Robert Williams back? That is coming up next. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Remember, I just said it earlier, the Locked On NBA Top 100 is here. It's voted on by Locked On Podcast hosts. It's all of us who cover the teams every day. You can find the whole list on Monday afternoon on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Don't miss my reaction. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's podcast. Where did the Celtics players land? How many of them are in the top 100? Where's Tatum? Where's Brown? That's all coming up on tomorrow's podcast. So make sure you are tuning in for that. And I'm sure people will be angry. I'll just leave it at that. Let's get back to the mailbag questions. Again, those come in at johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Peter says, Robert Williams will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. I know he has injuries. I know he's not available, but can the C's sign him? Can you convince me? I'd rather have a 40-win season with Time Lord playing half the time than a 60-win season without him. Peter loves Time Lord. Is this Chris Forsberg's burner? Look, I just don't see it happening. I'm not big on these reunions anymore. It's so funny. Having done this for a while, you realize like just how much people love these guys that played before. And it's anybody that leaves, people are like, can we get this guy back? Can we get this guy back? I think Rob look, I love Rob. I would love to have Robert Williams back. I'd love to have him back in the locker room. If you've heard me and Tom Westerholm talking about him, we gush about how great it is to talk to him, but it's just not. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's just not meant to be. He's not healthy enough. And in today's collective bargaining agreement, you can't afford to be paying a guy that's not that healthy. You just can't have a roster spot. You can't have the salary taken up. It's just becomes so much less likely. Okay, moving on. Larry, we'll have some fun here. We need your yearly update on Madar as he's doing okay on Israel's team in Eurobasket. He is doing okay, but he's not doing great. Didn't do great. He is now 20. He turns 25 this year. He averaged 10 points a game in Eurobasket. He had a game, 17 points against France, which is a nice game. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. A nice game for him there. But nice game, right? Not a great game. Not, oh my God, he needs to be in the NBA game. I have not watched any of Israel play, so I can't. I do not have an updated scouting report on Madar. That's my fault. I should have anticipated people asking about Yam having, we saw him play. He's so out of my mind that I didn't even think, hey, let me watch a couple of these Israel games to see how Madar is doing. And I didn't see anybody tweeting about it or anything like that. So I know I'm not alone. So anyway, yeah, that's I think we just need to let it go. He's not coming over. He's got the rights. I don't know if, the Celtics can do one of those trading the rights to a certain player. I don't even know if you can do that anymore. The rights to a guy that just are never going to come over in a trade, like for nobody, for nothing. But yeah, Yam's done, baby. All right, let's finish this with Chase saying at the start of the 23-24 season, the Celtics added new in-arena sounds, some of which stuck and others went away. What are your thoughts on new arena sounds and how could we know when changes are coming? I don't know how much, there is a TD Garden group, the entertainment people there. I know they must work closely with the team, but I don't know to what degree. I don't know who in the Celtics organization is approving, not approving certain things. So that, it's a good question as far as how do we know when changes are coming. I'll look into that. But look, the Celtics have a very specific kind of old school sound with the organ type of, a lot of organ type of music. They're not super obnoxious with the in arena, music. Who am I thinking of? Orlando is constantly playing music. Some of these arenas, every possession is just constantly music playing as the game is going on. And it's a little wild to me. I don't know. I know the players don't really pay attention to it. And, it kind of fades into the background for me because I'm there so often. But, as long as it's not overly obnoxious, I don't mind. I get it. This is something to keep people interested. I've seen some of these games where we're not going to do anything. And it's so quiet that it becomes weird. We're just conditioned to have all of these sounds playing as we go on and on and on. That when they're not there, people are it's distracting. So as long as the Celtics don't get obnoxious with it, I'm fine with whatever they do. The only thing I want to get rid of is the crazy train opening to the games. I know Ozzy Osbourne just died, and so maybe they don't want to change it, or maybe because he died, they're like, "Hey, look, we're going to retire this and go with something else." I personally like the Triple H intro when it's it's time to play the game. That's awesome. Let's do it. That's it's perfect for the beginning of a basketball game for the intros because it's the best part of it is the beginning. You don't need to get into the lyrics part of it. It's a very pump up. It's entrance music. It's Triple H's entrance music. And so it's designed to pump up an audience. Like, I think it's perfect. Like, they should go to that. So if I want new in-arena sounds, that's the one I'm looking forward to. Change, like we've done it. We don't have to carry this on forever. Give me a new beginning to the game. Like, this is the season to start a new tradition. Let's do it. Other than that, whatever. Everything else is fine. It's the same. Everybody clap your hands. Like, everybody does that stuff. That's fine. If they tinker, they want to update it, go for it. I'm in. All right, that's the mailbag episode. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag. If you want to submit your questions, thank you for doing so. I do this every Monday during the off season. During the season, I tend not to do as many because, like, there's stuff to talk about that's game related. That's a little bit more, but I do mix them in. So whenever the Celtics have an extra off day, I'll try to get questions in. So please submit your questions. Those of you who have, thank you. I appreciate you being everydayers, being part of this whole ride with me every day, Monday through Friday. Really do appreciate you joining in and being an everyday listener. Hop onto the YouTube page, get into the comment section there, share your thoughts with me, and share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.